Welcome to the first fruit. Hey, welcome to the first. You gotta be kidding me. Well, it wasn't supposed to go like that.
Hey, welcome to the 2022 First Fruits Design Co. shop tour.
If you're interested in any of the tools or materials we have throughout the video, there will be links in the description. So this is our 3 horsepower Grizzly dust collector. It's got a 1 micron canister filter on it, separator built into it. It is mobile, however we kind of got it hard fixed in here. This thing is awesome. It is the G0862 model, and if you can find it in your budget, it will take care of this shop and probably a lot more. And then we'll move on to the CNC, the X-Carve, Inventables X-Carve CNC. It is the 1000 millimeter by 1000 millimeter one, and we do all of our carvings with it, and we can cut out templates and stuff with this. Really cool. When you just really need to be precise. Let me show you an example. This was a piece we're cutting out, doing a little trial of a wine caddy of a new design. So we cut that out with this. All right, so when we knew we were getting this, we built this table down here. It's actually a torsion box top out of plywood. I don't know the dimensions. It's about yay big by yay big. And it served us really well. I think we will, in the future, because this makes so much noise when it's cutting, in the future we'll build a box for this to go in, kind of a self-contained unit, and that'll be that. We bought the cheapest laptop you can get at Target to run this thing, and it works just fine. And then moving further down the line, we've got some sheet good cutoffs over here that we just kind of store in this corner. And this is the pouring table, we call it, where we pour all of our candle vessels, our cement vessels. We do that here. Because it's so dusty and we need a good respirator, and this table has leveling feet on it, so it's perfectly flat when we pour, so we don't have to worry about our containers being kind of wonky or anything like that. And then moving further down the line, we've got like just some random stuff in the corner, but here we have our clamp rack that we built. It is on casters. We keep our cabinet clamps just sitting kind of in the base of it, and then it's just got a plywood back wall with a French cleat system, and that's how we hold it all up. So then as you turn this way, we have our rigid oscillating belt sander and spindle sander. I'm actually kind of surprised that all the parts are still here, because my son, for whatever reason, like, this is the one thing he wants to come and just like take apart and lay them all over the floor. But that thing's cool. Next up, we have the Grizzly G0458Z, or at least that's what it says on the side. This is our drum sander. It's a 110 volt or 115 volt drum sander. It works pretty good. As far as it is open-ended, so you can run larger pieces through, flip them around, get the other side. I think it's 18.5 inches wide. So you, in theory, could do up to 37 inches, but honestly, with it being a 110, it seems a bit underpowered for even just sanding full size, like 18.5 inch. In the future, I think it'd be better to get a 220 volt or higher drum sander, simply for the fact that it can overload and trip and stuff like that, which we've had issues with. That being said, I know a lot of channels say that their drum sander, if they have one, is a luxury item. But at this point, with doing the boards and everything, it has become a necessity and no longer a luxury item. So moving right along, this is our newest piece of equipment, large equipment, and it is the Grizzly, again, G0513X2. It's a 17-inch bandsaw with 12.25 inch resaw capacity, I believe. Oh, something I really love about this is the dust collection is incredible. It has two 4-inch hose connections, one up here just under where the cut takes place, and then one down at the base of the lower cabinet. I love it. It's awesome. It's actually the first bandsaw we've ever had or used, so I'm still like kind of learning some cool things to do with it. So moving further this way, we have our brand new router table that we just built, and we did a video on the building of all this. Obviously, you can see we haven't finished it yet because we still have some painting to do, as well as cabinet doors to put on the front. And as you can see here, I have my work cut out for me for the rest of today, getting nice edges on these. This is made with the Rockler SL router lift, and I think we're gonna have a forthcoming video specifically about the router lift. If you're interested, let us know in the comments. But the so far it's really cool. It works great, and that's that. So next we have our drill press, which is really tiny, so it's down here on the floor. Again from Grizzly G0925, and this thing is great. I don't need a big giant drill press for the things that I do so far, and this has been solid. It's worked out great. We just throw this up on the workbench or assembly table, plug it in on that strip, and go to town. Coming around on the back side of the router table, we have our joiner. It's a Grizzly 6-inch joiner. I think it's an 814, G0814. And I have upgraded the cutter head to a helical cutter head. It's a 6-inch cutter head. I think this is 42-inch bed. Despite being just a 110 or 115 volt planer, this thing is awesome. It chews up everything that I push through it, and has been just really great. Very happy with it. All right, next over here underneath the table saw, we have our Grizzly G0889 planer. It's a 13-inch planer, and this one, good luck finding any videos on how to replace the cutter head. I just figured it out, went through and also put in a helical cutter head for this. And for both the cutter heads, I'll make sure to put links in the description. And moving over here is the workbench assembly table. And we just sort of redid this recently. We put a new top on it, took out the router table that was sort of built into it to build that one, and we slapped a cabinet in here too. But it's cool. It's got power strip right here for anything we're doing on top, using sanders or jigsaw, anything we might need to work with on top. Down here we've got our rigid pancake air compressor. It works great for brad nailers and filling up tires outside the door. We have the Makita jigsaw that I actually bought like a long time ago. Fun fact about this, in our old shop, we apparently had a leak in the roof, and so I came in one day to find the case was open, completely filled with water. So the jigsaw itself was completely submerged. I just, sort of shook it out, set it out in a dry spot for a day, came back the next day, plugged it in, and it worked as if nothing had happened. So I'm kind of a Makita fanboy. We also have our 18 gauge brad nailer and our 23 gauge pin nailer. Down here at the end of the assembly table, I think I'm going to make this just a little hand tool wall. My younger daughter is excited about getting into woodworking, and so we've got a few hand tools on the way for her. Moving around to this side, we have our craft paper. I think it's 3 feet wide. And it's just really nice to just have it on a reel right here to be able to pull over. If you're having issues with, like you have a similar setup, and if you're having issues with the paper wanting to roll up and everything, what works well for us is taking these dog hole pins. You just punch it through the paper and into the dog holes of the table, and then it just lays flat. Then you can do all your work without worrying about the paper rolling up and getting glue on your table and stuff. We have our sandpaper over here. The 3M extract is what we use. It is slightly more expensive, but significantly more effective. I highly recommend it. We have our Rockler bench cookies with the dog hole risers. Also have like a little jig parts kit here, and a Forstner bit kit from Grizzly right here. All right, now panning over this way, we have our miter station along this wall. And as you can see down here, there's this weird cement lip. So this whole station's level, but the garage floor is not, it slopes down. So anyway, that's why we decided to put the miter station here. But up here we have our safety cabinet where we have our hearing protection. We got these 3M Bluetooth audio ones, so we can listen to podcasts and protect our ears at the same time. We have our eye protection and some gloves right there in that cabinet. Down here, it's kind of a disgusting mess. We have a bunch of tools, finishes, glues, basically all the tools and materials that we use throughout the shop. And you might be wondering, like, why are there no cabinet doors on anything? Why is it exposed? But if you notice, if you pan this way a little bit, this shop is completely open. So we've had tarantulas, camel spiders or sun spiders. We've had bobcats in the shop. We've had birds, tons of birds. Snakes, that's right, we've had rattlesnakes in here. So we don't currently have cabinet doors on anything because it creates a nice little hidey hole for all these creepy things that want to kill us. So in the future, we'll probably wall this off, and then we'll begin putting doors on everything. Moving over here is our DeWalt platform tools. We've got a driver, whatever that is, and 2 drills, and then all of our chargers are up here. And just a quick little cabinet we made. That one we did put a lid on just to try and keep dust out of the chargers and stuff like that. But if you were to look closely, you would see there's like 10 spiders in there. So just to the right of that is our T-rules and our woodpeckers 1281 square, as well as a straight edge, a little Incra measuring guide, which is cool. So the entire length of the miter station is a mystery to me. I don't remember. It's just shy of 16 feet. And then from the blade to the end is just over 6 feet here. It's 76 inches from the center of the saw over. And then coming this way, it's 112 inches. So we got just over 9 feet of in feed and out feed, I guess you'd call it. I've noticed a lot of miter stations, they have fences here, which I particularly don't care for. When I buy like zebra wood, for instance, for our cutting boards and everything, it is like 14 foot boards. So as I'm trying to break that down, I might not have the luxury of having a nice straight board that can sit up against a fence. It might have some curve to it. So as long as the board is tight against the fence here at the miter saw while I'm making the cut, that's kind of the most important thing. So down below here we have our just little cut off scrap bin. Just make a cut here, throw it down there. This is the Makita 10-inch sliding miter saw. It's pretty sweet. We really like it. It has up to 60 degrees in both directions that you can cut it. It is hooked up to a DeWalt shop vac, which we've actually replaced the filter inside with a HEPA filter to try and get that extra fine dust. So our DeWalt shop vac that's hooked up to the miter station is actually run through an IVAC switch, and it's really convenient because I am the worst at remembering to like turn on the dust collection and then make the cut. And so I had to go and spend the extra money to compensate for me being forgetful and or lazy. So now we just have to activate the saw to make the cut, and it kicks on the vacuum. Super convenient. And we kind of talked about it in our workbench video, which is why we have that compartment there for a dust collector, extractor, whatever. Currently, we have to disconnect this hose that goes up to the miter saw and connect this one to be able to connect to our sander or our track saw or whatever over here at the workbench. All right, next we have our Bora wood racks that are just attached to the wall here. We've got two here that are narrower for like shorter scraps and cutoffs. And then over here, these ones are set apart a little bit wider to be able to hold our longer boards. Down here is our small parts or little organization bins that we got not too long ago, and we just need to get that filled up. So I've got T-Track running the entire length of our in-feed and out-feed miter station, and just cut a little piece of MDF as a stop block, and this works great. So what we do, I rarely like lay out wood and mark where I'm gonna cut it and then try and line that up at the miter saw with the blade. What I do is I know what my cut's gonna be, so I just measure from the zero clearance insert that I made. I measure out and set my stop block to that, and then I know that that's what the cut's gonna be at. It's a really nice setup. It gives very consistent results when making multiple cuts at the same dimension. And down here we just have some shelving that we will actually attach these cabinet doors to in the future. But move along with me this way. We'll get to the table saw in just a second, but right now I just have this little cabinet down here that holds our push blocks. It's got our dado stacks, as well as the dust collection overhead portion for the table saw itself. Honestly, I don't like it, so I don't use it. But keep our miter gauge down here, as well as some Bridge City Tools angle gauges. Also store our Makita track saw right down here. And then the track itself hangs up on the wall over here. This is our Harvey table saw. This thing is so sweet. Previously, I just had a smaller DeWalt table saw, and it worked pretty good. It would bog down quite a bit if I was trying to put through some hardwoods or thicker material, but this thing does not bog down. It's 3 horsepower. It is the Alpha Series HW110 TC36P, so it's got 36 inches to the right of the blade. And this is Rosie, and she's a great hugger, aren't you? Oh, that's so sweet. Good girl. Oh, you need more hugs. Okay. Okay. Yeah, good girl. Okay, go hunt. We set this up the way we did, and I know I've got this post here where I had to put in the electrical for the saw, but it works out great because most of the sheet goods we use are 60 inches by 60 inches, and I can do, 3 feet of overhang either side. So even if I do have to cut an 8-foot sheet, it's not that big a deal. I mean, this thing is plenty. I wouldn't bother or need to go to the 52-inch wide. If I'm gonna be making a cut that might not be comfortable on this, I'll just put down the foam on the bench, put the sheet on top, and use a track saw to break it down. It's actually pretty fast that way. But this saw is awesome. Plenty of power at 3 horsepower. I don't struggle cutting through anything, and it's just been really great. Very well made table saw. Oh yeah, there are lots of instructions out there on how to assemble this thing, and I recommend watching those and reading the instructions before you put it together, because I was just winging it. I'm like, oh, how hard could it be? And it's not that hard, but I made it more difficult by not doing that. So do yourself a favor, watch the videos. So another addition to the shop was the lighting. Usually when we're filming, we'll have the lights off and we'll just have some studio lighting, because it is so bright it kind of messes with the camera a little bit, as I'm sure we might see in this video even. But when we're just getting to work, batching stuff out, building without the filming, then we have these, and these are 10 8-foot Barina lights. It's like 90,000 lumens or something like that. I'm pretty sure if we pointed them at the sun, we could give the sun a tan. They are so bright and really nice, and they're really affordable. And they just plug into, you can either hardwire them like we have, or you can just plug them into like a 110 or 115 outlet, and they work great. Check out the links in the description below.
Leave a comment below and let us know what you think.
See you in the next time.
That's right, buddy.
Yes! High five.
That was awesome, dude.
You're so cool.
Yeah, I am.
And humble.